one of my favorite people, Ryan Miosge. Why am I saying Ryan?
I was nearly going to stop you. I was like,
stop me the
I noticed.
Jake Miosge.
Starting off, what did you do?
I met Chris backstage. One day I started editing footage together to one of his songs. He looked at it and just goes, "You're going to direct it. I'm going to make a call to the record label today." I was shitting myself. I'm like, holy crap, what?
I feel like the art form of music videos is dead. Nobody watches them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they're not as great as what they used to be.
Speaking of AI, has it done anything to you in your industry?
I feel like there's always going to be a need for those really like amazing people that would like what you guys do.
That's the way I would like to think, but I know for a fact that a company or a studio would sacrifice quality if it means a chunk is gone. Okay, we're back. That's
Finally.
it.
Yeah.
Finally, we're back, and hopefully we don't run away again. Oh, well, we didn't run away. Some bad shit happened. You're going to bleep that out, right?
Yeah.
All right. Some bad stuff happened health-wise, but thankfully we're better now, and we're better than ever now. Training every day.
Yeah. Getting those steps in.
Getting steps.
Everyone's on the grind.
10,000 steps. And I guess does 20,000 steps. You'll meet him soon. And yeah, let's introduce him. Ryan Miosge. I got that right?
Yeah, you did. Right.
Awesome. One of my favorite people from America, even though he's not American. And he's a very talented filmmaker, director, writer, and all things Batman collector.
Yes.
Ryan, take it away.
I love Batman. Yeah.
You love Batman way too much.
I'm confused. You're saying Ryan?
Why am I saying Ryan?
I was nearly going to stop you. I was like, I don't know.
Wait. Yeah, we're gonna have to start that again.
Now we have to start.
I was looking at Jake and me and Jake are like,
stop me the
I didn't notice. I was
We leave that in. We don't take those
I was like, wait, am I wrong?
Hey, every time I do a mistake, we leave it in. We're leaving that in.
We were talking about Ryan before.
We were, yeah.
And
So I got a bit confused.
Got the residuals of residual.
I'm like, do I have the wrong name? I'm thinking, like, did they introduce me wrong to him?
Yeah, we stitched you up at the beginning.
All right, I'm gonna hand it to Daniel. You introduce.
Jake Miosge.
Hey, you got a big fella.
There we
go.
go. I got the surname right, and I'm like, I'm talking to him. I'm not saying Ryan for some reason because I'm thinking about Ryan.
You're thinking about that surname too much. That's why.
Well, yeah. Welcome, Jake. It's nice to have you on.
Yeah.
Thanks,
it's
guys.
awesome to see you in Australia.
Welcome.
I mean, the last time we saw you was back in the States, which was months back. It feels like it's been a year.
At least a year, I think. It has to be probably more than a year.
It's been so long.
Yeah.
It's like someone forgets his name or something.
Yeah. You got the hardest part right.
Yeah, I know.
But then you got the easiest part, Jake, to be... No, it's all good, bro.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's good to be here, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on here with everyone and have a chat and finally see the awesome room that you guys have built for the pod. It's amazing.
It's turned out all right. It's turned out good.
When we built the secondary area, as I was telling you before the podcast started running, the shed is gonna look way more than this. So we're gonna build it to, like right now we're just adding shit.
Yeah.
But that one would be catered to the actual stream, so we can have that like out of focus.
Yeah.
Background
some
and
more
stuff.
depth. Like we're gonna
It'll be bigger as well.
Yeah, over time we're gonna be upgrading the room to a new area.
Okay.
And if you're ever back in Australia, we'd love to have you back on, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. What brings you to Australia?
Just visiting family this time, bro. Being end of year, Christmas time. I try and spend one Christmas here, one Christmas back in the US with my wife's family. So this happened to be the Australian Christmas. So which is great for myself and my wife. We love Aussie Christmas being summer. Not that it's cold in LA by any means all time of the year, but it's good to come back and have the hot Aussie Christmas and be around the pool and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
Too hot though.
Yeah, bro. I mean, look.
Oh, sometimes it's raining
It's
all day.
fluctuating so
Sometimes,
much, but-
Yeah, where my family's from in Newcastle, it was 43 when I got home the other day, and in LA it was 22 or something like that, and we're just like, holy crap.
Was it humid wind as well?
Yeah,
One of those ones?
it was real. It was
That's
like
a
you walk outside, and you
double
feel
trouble.
Like,
Yeah.
you feel like you got hit in the face with a pillow.
Yeah.
It's just like
It's the
holy
worst
crap.
thing.
Yeah,
the
It's
worst.
like when I was in America recently, they get so confused that it's summer here
Yeah.
Christmas. Like so confused. It's like that. It doesn't make absolutely any sense.
Yeah.
They don't understand
It's
that
like-
there's different seasons.
It's like, how do you get snow? I'm like, we don't.
We don't.
Yeah.
I've literally never seen snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you have
one
to
thing
go
I
up
wanna
in the mountains.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got to
I've
go to the
never seen-
mountains to see that.
Yeah, I just tell them it's flipped. Every time it's winter, it's summer. Every time
That's
it's
literally
summer,
what
it's
it is.
winter.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
Complete- yeah.
Yeah. Opposite side of the road, opposite weather.
Yeah.
It's all pretty relative for them.
But the thing is, it's like, you're not originally from Melbourne. So what do you do
No.
in Melbourne? Like, do you just love Melbourne? Or?
Yeah, I mean, look, my family's an AFL family. So in Newcastle, it's all rugby league. So we always gravitated towards Melbourne. And I just love Melbourne as a city. And I love Victoria. So a lot of my family grew up in Wagga, which is like, you know, the Riverina area. So it's close to Victoria. So I guess we just kind of gravitate towards it. We love the food, the coffee, you know, all the stuff that Melbourne people talk about.
It's
you know.
always the coffee.
Yeah, it is. Like, and I know a lot of people talk about it, but it genuinely is better than New South Wales and, I mean, the broader rest of the country. And I don't know what that is. Still trying to figure it out. It's a mystery. But
Would you say Melbourne's better than Sydney?
yeah, 100%.
Oh,
There we go.
controversial topic.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Controversial.
Even though
Yeah.
I
As a
did,
person from the outside looking in, guys,
Yeah.
it's like confirmed.
yeah, and I did live in Sydney for 3 years before I moved to
There
the
you go.
US. So I have somewhat of
Valid.
an educated experience, a little bit there, but yeah, it's, I don't know, man. I just feel like it's, like we were talking about before, it's like a quieter New York. Like
Yeah.
I just like Melbourne.
That's
It's just something about
that's
it.
how I describe.
Yeah.
Like to Americans, like when I'm there, it's like
Yeah.
if they want a description of Melbourne,
Yep.
I tell them it's like it's a nice day in New York.
Yeah, no, exactly. 100%. 100%. Yeah. No, it's a good place. We try and come here every trip, at least a few days, just to relax and, you know, do all the stuff. So, yeah, it's good.
Also, we have like Katek here that you're going to try out after this podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
you taking him to cutting?
He's gonna take him to
Oh,
cutting.
man.
Yeah.
I've been on the hunt, bro, for something.
He wants a kebab. He wants a good kebab.
It is an amazing.
It's a
place
good
to
price
go.
and you get a
highly
pretty
recommend it for
decent
anyone.
Do they do HSPs as well?
No,
They
that's the
don't.
thing.
They're traditional.
Okay.
So
They've
that's
been
that's
asked
why
a
the
lot
kebabs
for
are so good.
Okay,
But
got it.
Award winning.
Okay.
HSPs are amazing, but
Yes.
there's no HSP that's top tier kebabs.
Ooh,
So it's
okay.
up, it's up.
Their
there.
kebabs
It's
are
really
good.
good.
Okay, sweet. That's good.
Don't get him hungry during the pod. Let's just get.
Oh, sorry,
through it
I'm getting
first.
hungry talking about
Yeah,
it. honestly.
let's get through it. Then
Okay.
we can talk about getting him
Well,
fed.
you are a filmmaker,
Correct, yeah.
and how's that going for you? What got you into it? Like for me, I am slowly diving into that scene, but more on the content creation side of social media.
Yep.
And I love what you do. And the things that I've seen and we've talked about, it's like really inspiring to see. And I was wondering, I guess, what are some tips you would give to somebody starting off? What did you do? And yeah, like how's that going with you career wise?
Awesome, bro. Well, first of all, too, I love the growth that I've saw in your work as well, because I've seen that on social media over the last over the last 12 to 18 months. I've seen your love for filmmaking blossom into your content creation. So
Thank you.
Good stuff, bro. You're doing a great job. You're on the right track for sure. I don't know where it started for me. I don't know if I could pinpoint a time, but I grew up on a farm, so I was always in my bedroom watching movies. So I guess that was, it's like the Tarantino film school. I just was always watching movies and loving pictures in general. I then eventually went to uni, and I was studying media and communications at Newcastle University. So did that, and I did a little bit of documentary stuff there whilst I was there, and learnt sort of the basics of photography. I started doing all that stuff there for a couple of years. I went halfway through my degree. I didn't actually finish because I was working as an intern for a touring company in Sydney called Jive Live, and they eventually they put me on a tour. They were bringing out Chris Brown to Australia in end of 2010, I think it was, and they put me on the tour as like an intern. I was going to help do meet and greets and didn't actually have anything to do with photography at all. So I just was there, whatever, doing the meet and greets and helping things work out backstage. And so I met Chris backstage, and I don't get starstruck either. So I guess that was a good thing. And we just started chatting, and I ended up having a lot of the same interests and the same like common love of, you know, just different cartoons of different movies, and we kind of were the same person, but across like, you know, like different cultural continents and whatever. So at that point in time, he said, "What do you do for work?" And or college. I said, "I'm in college, and I'm studying photography." And he said, "Well, do you want to come on tour and take photos of me around Australia during this tour?" And I was like, "Holy crap, really?" He's like, "Yeah, dude." So
that's
yeah, which was like right place, right time kind of thing. Yeah. So I went around Australia, did that tour. I then went back to uni. I was there for a few months, and then his manager and his auntie called me and said that they wanted me to come on a world tour. So I then went to college to the course coordinator and said, "Hey, I got this opportunity to do this. You know, what do you think?" And then she just goes, "Well, if you don't leave, you're an idiot." Like, she's like, "You're never going to get this opportunity again." So I eventually was like, okay, cool. So I left uni, went on a world tour. And then I think since then, you know, up until this point, I think we were on like 6 world tours, and, you know, it was nearly 13 years of my life. I was his personal photographer for about 7 or 8 years of that, doing all of his social media as well, basically running his creative empire with him, which was great. Learned, you know, amazing things, sort of in the shadows of all the stuff happening, like music videos and all that kind of stuff. I was the, you know, unit photographer for those music videos for his documentary. So I was kind of in the wings waiting to sort of have my opportunity to tell my own stories, I guess, as well. So I was capturing his content, but we always had such a really big, strong, like kindred connection with movies, like very specifically movies, and almost become telepathic with things we would consume. Like I'd send him the Matrix trailer or and we'd just be like, "Oh, this is, you know, and we were very tapped in that way." So that was what I did for all that time. And then a few years up until about 2021, I was just editing footage or whatever, and this speaks to the transition to being a director with Chris. I was editing some footage together from a new song that he had for his new album. So as part of being his creative team, I would have a box link which would have all of his music that he records every night, so I could listen to it and sort of, you know, download it mentally. And when it would come to the album time, we'd have a discussion about, hey, this is probably right for the album or whatever, go through all the tracks and stuff. So that was part of my job as a creative director. So I creative directed two of Chris's albums with him. And I did the photography for 2 of those as well, which was a cool experience. So I downloaded the music, and one day I started editing footage together from just movies to one of his songs. And I showed him the next day, and I said, "Hey dude, this would be cool if we did a video like this." And it was just me genuinely showing him just footage. I was like, "This is cool." And he looked at it and didn't say anything. And he was at his table and he's just watching it. And at the end, he just goes, "You're going to direct it. I'm going to make a call to the record label today." And I was like, I was shitting myself. I'm like, holy crap. Like what? So I went home, and then, they called me and they said, "All right, you need to send us a treatment. You need to send this, So did all of that. And then it ended up being it would end up being a 7-minute short film that was, you know, it was set in the 1920s, and it was like a gangster themed short for Chris. And there was a lot of and that was one thing I wanted to bring up with him too. I was like, I wanted to push him as an artist in terms of, you know, his acting and his storytelling, because a lot of the music videos in the urban world, you know, there's not a lot of substance from a narrative perspective. It seemed like there's a lot of, you know, there is some artists like The Weeknd and things like that have, and Drake, that have good directors and good stories, but I just wanted to focus more on sort of the long form storytelling content. So we did that video. It was awesome. The record label loved it. And then we did a couple other videos with him as well. So that was sort of how I got my start, I guess. It's a long way of saying that, but it was how I got my start in doing what I was doing. And yeah, just kind of falling forward into it. And I guess back to your original question, what you said is, do you have any advice? I guess my biggest advice I could give is I just would constantly try and learn every day and try and just act, because the problem is I find with a lot of artists is we get crippled by not doing stuff. Like we'll sit there and open up a page and not do anything metaphorically or actually doing that if you're an artist or whatever it is. But I just found that I had to, like, I never was taught in photography properly. I just was shooting and just taking pictures. Just over time. So I think that's the biggest thing, is to just continuously produce stuff and just make stuff, even if no one gives you money, if no one does this. I mean, a lot of people say that, and it is true. If you just keep making things, regardless of whether you think they're good or not, it doesn't really matter. You just have to keep producing stuff and learning.
That's what I was going to I guess dive into, because I'm sort of at that stage now where, you know, I started off with photography, which I enjoyed, but I always felt like there was something missing, because I always loved the idea of storytelling. And over time I moved more into video content and videography, and I'm loving it. And at the moment, I've really been wanting to do more so, like, I love traveling and hiking and all that. So I wanted to dive into travel content and telling a story. And it came to the point where, okay, I need to start learning how to script. Because that's, for me, when I have an idea in my head, I kind of construct the video in like my mind without putting anything pen to paper, and then just start with a recording, put things together. And then I noticed that scripting's really difficult starting off. I would bring, I bring a booklet or a book, and I put it down and I start writing, and I just procrastinate so much. And I'm like, Evan, I'll leave it. And I keep putting it off. And it's like you're saying, I just need to do it. And
because it won't get any easier. It's always gonna be that same, like, you know, you've got the mental block, or, you know, you're having a slow day and you're trying to really tap into your creative side. It's not going to ever, you just have to, it sucks. You have to kind of force yourself to be like, right, let's go. You just have to keep producing stuff over time. And like when I started writing scripts, I didn't know how to write at all. I was same deal. I was never taught. I just ended up YouTubing, buying, you know, Save the Cat book, which is, it's a good book to read if you're into, want to start writing screenplays as well. It's called Save the Cat. It's a good framework for that. And there's plenty of other books as well, but realistically, you just need to just look up, I guess, the frameworks of screenwriting and then just apply it. And a lot of the things I did too is I actually downloaded scripts from other movies, and I would look at it and just kind of be like, all right, that's how it's structured. This is how I can structure it as well. So it's kind of mirror imaging it and kind of, that, like, reverse engineering it basically. That's a good way to do it.
It gets me really, like, excited because, like I said, I'm at that stage. So you talking about is kind of where I am at, and also see myself sort of going. I love it. Like, this is great. Something I really want to get into. So it's really nice to, I guess, know that I'm somewhat taking what can be considered the right steps. And although it is different for everyone.
It is.
But going back to his point, it's like also being present. Like that's a very important aspect, especially in our industry. Like, sure, some people get found online. Sure, you get a break by a random email. Someone saw your work, but you being in certain places you put yourself in, like, stepping out of your comfort zone, obviously, is what gets you into these highly sought spots. And that's what people need to do. I found that out, not like, it's been a couple of years now, but not too long ago, not over my whole course of my career. I was too afraid to leave my comfort zone, and I was getting places, but I couldn't get to the actual places I wanted to be until I stepped out of that zone. You know, started traveling to the States, you know, went to LA, went to New York, meeting the people that I needed to meet. There's a lot of people that don't do that. They just, like, they're content with their content, basically.
For sure.
What they're doing.
I agree. I mean, I think one of the biggest things for myself is when I finally sort of went and did my own thing after Chris, I was crippled for at least 2 years. Like, I was still making stuff, but I had an identity crisis. Like, I didn't know who I was or what I was supposed to do or what I was supposed to say or what I was supposed to share. So I just kept making stuff. Like, it was almost like I was exercising demons. I was just writing scripts. Like, I think in that first 12 months, I wrote 3 feature films and like 4 short films, because I was like, I've got to keep getting stuff out and just keep, it was almost like a survival mentality. I was like, if I don't do it, but then, like you said, like I got burnt out, and then I would sit there and not want to go and talk to people. But at the end of the day, you have to share and be proud of the work that you're making. Like, because at the end of the day, like, we could write the best script or make the best art, and if no one sees it, then it's just sitting there with you. Like, you need to be able to.
You got to find the balance.
Yeah, you got to find the balance for sure. So, it's hard.
I feel that's what I'm slowly coming to understand that. With the way the world is now, there's a lot of short form content, and people's attention span seem to be a lot. I guess what would be less.
Sure.
So if you were trying to be someone who's doing content, you need to be the person to, like, you have to enjoy your own work.
Yeah.
And leave it at that. And if people will love it too, that's awesome. If not, I mean, you can't sit on it too much.
You can cater to your audience, but don't sacrifice what made you to cater to the audience, because your fan base liked you and became a fan of yours for what you do.
Yep.
And now that you're getting new people that are like, their attention span is much less.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, are you going to change your narrative because just to make them happy? That kind of ruins your happiness for making something.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I wanted to bring up, like, you brought that up, and you've done music videos before, and like, I feel like the art form of music videos is dead, because I used to love watching music videos, and to tell you the truth, to be completely honest, I haven't watched a full music video in maybe 11 years now.
Right.
I have not watched it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how these music video awards are happening.
It's a lot more different nowadays.
It's just nobody watches them. It's like you're on TikTok and you want to hear a 15 to 30 second song.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And if you listen to the majority of the songs that are on TikTok that are 30-second bangers, after the 30 seconds, the song's like not great. It's like just that part of the song is good. It's like,
even I remember when I was doing the music videos with Chris, I remember that the record label would always be so focused on short form content. Like, even a few years ago, they were still like, yeah, but we need short form and so they're already going towards that route. But they know that an artist as big as him, even if they spend a certain amount of money on a music video, they're going to get it back from streaming, and they're going to get it back from their YouTube views and all that sort of stuff. So they're not really concerned about the revenue. But if you're a smaller artist, it's so hard to get a fully formed music video out there if that's what you wanted to do. But I think from my perspective, when I did when I directed that music video that I did, I was I think I was shown that honestly my path was not to be in music videos, it was to be in feature films, because my content was becoming longer and my storytelling was longer, and I couldn't condense it into a smaller video. And it was a little cinematic touch of what I wanted to achieve in the future. So it's a good thing. It was almost like I fell forward a little bit, which is, it was nice. But yeah, I agree. I think that the quality of music videos, if they're out now, they're not as great as what they used to be. There's not much story there, and it's more content driven.
It's more visual stuff nowadays.
Yeah. Even if it is visual stuff, like even like you watch a Taylor Swift music video, the ones they spend like millions and millions of dollars on, just even for narrative and stuff. It's just, I don't have like the drive to watch it. Like I don't. There's it's like a couple minutes.
Would you say there's a disconnect with the audience compared to what it used to be like?
I think for me in general, I would just rather listen to the song while doing something else. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't think it disconnects. I don't want to, because when you watch like a trailer or something, you're watching it anticipating to get to somewhere. I'm gonna go watch this movie. It's bringing you to something. The music video is it's meant to be like a story within a frame of the music, and it's like after you finish this music video, like you remember the songs back in the days, like California Love by Tupac. You watch that, the whole narrative is built, you enjoy it, and it's finished. I don't get that feeling anymore from
Gangsters Paradise as well, same thing.
You don't get like that feeling from even whatever it is. It's like maybe there's dime a dozen out there like that would do that for me, but because there's been so many that have put me off music videos, I just haven't been watching music videos. And I don't hear people talking. Like, when is the last time you saw someone share it, like, you guys got to check this music video out? It's like you don't see it.
It's not often.
Yeah.
No.
I can't say the same, but
Yeah.
I've got
Daniel and Mo with NF.
Yeah, NF.
Be like
Drake as well.
It's
I
'cause-
like
Yeah,
it.
it's not-
I like
it's
the
not
visuals
very-
personally.
It's not common these days. Yeah, it's not. Really
I like
common.
the visuals personally.
Yeah.
It's personal preference, I guess. But
Yeah, it's a visual accompaniment to the song. Like that's why like John Landis when he directed Thriller with Michael Jackson.
yeah,
like
see, that was a good.
yeah,
music
like
video,
those are the sort of
that's got rewatch value.
exactly, bro. Like those stand the test of time, and those are the sort of stories like Smooth Criminal in the Warehouse with the lean. Like all those stories, they're the kinds of emotions that I wanted to invoke as a director to the audience when you see music videos like that. Like that's why when I did the music video that I did, I was like, it needs to have that. Wow, we're going into a world. Like whereas a lot of them, it's just like here's a camera and like go. Like it's not, you know. And that's the thing is like you almost want to create that the audience is in a cinema at home and they forget where they are, because if you can get that feeling on a phone or even on TV or whatever, then you've succeeded. But if you got someone looking at it and go, oh, whatever, and they throw it to the side, then
Of course.
it's just another video.
This whole pull away from music videos is kind of what inspired me for Frequency.
Yeah.
Like Frequency, like certain aspects of the movie, it's kind of going to be like when it becomes a fight scene or when it becomes like an action scene, that is going to be a music video in itself. Like when you got two of the genres fighting each other, that's going to be a music video.
Yep.
And all the music videos in that, I want it to be kind of like, you know, that show Love, Death, Robots? Yeah, so basically every animation is a different director or a different take. Or
like an anthology series.
Yeah, a different
and a different style. Yeah.
different storyteller, different style. That's kind of what I want to bring to the table, because it showcases artists, it showcases musicians, it showcases storytelling, and it brings back the love for music videos within the film genre, where it has a narrative. And every single clip has a different narrative.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to bring to the table, to bring back my love of music videos, because I used to love like watching MTV and stuff, and when you're watching music television and stuff,
Rave.
and now it's just not there anymore.
It's not. Yeah.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah. It's hard.
I don't think it ruins the song though.
No, the songs are dope.
Yeah.
Like the songs,
It's just a
I
bonus.
I
It's a
love
bonus
music.
having
I cannot work without music. Like
Yeah.
I go on my computer, and if there's no music, I can literally hear my heartbeat, and I'm like, what the hell is that breathing and heartbeat? It's like I don't want to hear that shit. Just put music on.
I know. Yeah. It's so powerful storytelling, and it's just, and like you said, it needs to be brought back in a kind of way that helps, like, you know, build that nostalgia again, but still just allow people to connect to it. But it is so hard with the short form content. Not that the short form content is bad, because that's storytelling in itself as well. But it's I just feel like it's like how all the guys say, like, we need to go back to the movies. Like, we need to have that feeling happen again, where people feel like they can escape and watch something. And because that was one thing when I was a kid, is like I felt like I'd almost lucid dream every night when I would watch movies. I'd be like, oh, imagine if I was like in that movie, like not necessarily as an actor, but like if I was in the world, like it was like the Last Action Hero movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, oh, if I was in the world, like what could I do or where could I go? So that's kind of like the scope where I think, you know, so it's that kind of thing as well. It's Frequency, it's building the world, you know, so.
I always think like you as well. It's like when I watch a movie, I go beyond just watching the movie. Like, I always wonder what happens. Like I even made a concept called like after the credits. Like what happens after the credits.
Yeah.
Like you watch a Rachel McAdams movie, like the movie About Time.
Yeah.
They're happy at the end and all that stuff. What happens after the movie? Do they get divorced? Like, does he leave her? Is she single? What happened?
Yeah. No,
these are not specific things.
It even goes back to like, again, like the multiverse thing. Like, are these people living a life that we don't know about for 30, 40 years, and you revisit them? That's why it's cool. Like when The Matrix was coming out again, and like I have it tattooed on my arm. It's my favorite movie of all time. Yeah. When I saw that come out, I was like, wow, I get to see Neo again. Like I get to feel like I'm in his world. And it's the connection to that, you know, I don't know.
And when we got, as creatives and you as a filmmaker, when you get introduced to that multiverse world and stuff, you start thinking like out the box. Like you watch a movie with Keanu Reeves or say Ben Stiller in it, and in that movie he crosses over into the world of another movie of his. Like, is it a multiverse? Is every acting job he does like a universe that he's in? Yeah, it's like it's a cool thing to think about, and that's why I love doing mashups and stuff, because it brings in.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love it.
The way they do the Easter eggs for those certain things are the best.
Yeah, I love when like who does that a lot. Adam Sandler does that a lot. He does. He mix and matches his movies.
He does, and puts Rob Schneider in a bunch of roles that are similar. Or is it part of the same?
I think they had beef recently. That's why he hasn't been in much of his movies. Yeah, I think they had beef, but now it's like sorted. I think over the years there was like a couple of years where he hasn't been in his movies. If you notice.
Okay.
Yeah, but I love that he brings his friends in. Like I've always wanted to be that guy.
That too.
Like you know when you raise like your friends up with you.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I love about Adam Sandler. He brings all his friends. His wife's in all his movies.
Yeah.
His kids are in his movies.
Yeah.
It's like that's what you want to be if you're like that high up.
Yeah, true.
You do. Yeah. I loved his movies when I was a kid. I actually loved Click a lot.
Yeah,
Click was
one of we just watched that recently.
Yeah, it's such a heavy movie too.
That father scene just always.
I need to rewatch that. I watched it years
always
back.
hits.
Yeah, when he's in the rain on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
always hits.
The part where he rewinds his dad in the last visit.
Yeah.
That part just kills me.
Yeah, I'm a mess every time I watch that movie. But again, that all correlates to the same thing, like nostalgia and making sure you're storytelling and you enjoy the moments and what if and what could happen if you reversed the time.
Makes you think it's
that's what makes a powerful movie. That's what makes a powerful movie. Like I just mentioned it before about Time.
Yeah.
Have you watched About Time?
Yeah, the one with what's his name? The other guy.
His name.
Red hair.
Yeah. The British dude.
Yeah.
So that movie, like the concept of it at the end, by the end, it's like he doesn't time travel because life means more.
Yeah.
And it's like that's like a heavy message.
Yeah, it is.
Why would you change if everything's perfect?
Yeah.
And that's like that pushes a good message around, and I love movies like that. And when you watch a movie like that, that's kind of the breath of fresh air I'm talking about when I bring up the music video theory.
Yeah.
The one I was talking about before.
Yeah.
When you watch a movie like that, it's like you feel like you're satisfied after you finish watching it.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need anything else.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff I love to see.
It's so many mixed emotions. You get your happiness, you get your sadness, you get your surprises, all that.
And it teaches you. Like if a movie teaches you, that's like that's a big thing.
Yeah. I think one of the first movies that I saw that really made me think when I left the cinema was actually Inception with the spinning top.
Yeah.
So like that
Inception's so good. I just watched that recently.
Such a good movie, bro.
Amazing.
Like so Nolan's one of my favorite directors, as he is for a lot of people, because of the fact that the idea is that when you leave the cinema, you want someone to feel like they've been on an experience and they've been in there and gone, wow, I can ask questions. I can, what happened? Did that happen? And like, again, genuinely forgetting that you're sitting in a seat and you're escaping to another world. That's the idea, right?
That's like Interstellar as well. Same thing.
Same deal. Same. And one of my other favorite directors is David Fincher. So Fincher's the same. Like he has a lot of psychological like twists in his movies where you're just like, wait, what? How? When? It all unraveled, and that's the sort of stuff I gravitate towards because I love comedies as well, but I sort of gravitate towards those because I like having like mental challenges with that sort of stuff and really coming up. I guess it comes up with that. It's the storytelling and like you said after the credits, like what could happen next? Like I want it to be able to give me sort of imagination and the ability to play with ideas. So
movies that make you think as well, plot twists, all that stuff.
Yeah,
crazy.
He created the recent movie Killer, right?
No, that's Scorsese.
No, The Killer.
Oh yeah, The Killer. Sorry, yes, he did. Yep, with Fassbender. I did watch it. Yeah, it was good from my perspective. Yeah. I don't know.
I wanted more from it.
Yeah, I wanted more.
I think it was good.
Yeah,
I look at it from an art perspective.
Yeah.
And an artsy movie.
Yeah.
And I liked it. It's kind of like it didn't have that much action, but it's kind of like, I like the whole narrative of him not speaking.
Yep.
And him describing how he feels during the whole thing.
Yeah,
It makes you feel like you're him.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about it.
Total, yeah. I felt immersed in it for sure. Yeah, it was I think the hard thing for me is I have so many other favorite Fincher films that it's always that comparison to that, which is, it's tough. But yeah, as soon as you start it, it's his movie. Yeah. You can, just by the composition and how things are lit and like even small things, like I watch the behind the scenes and like, when he's shooting through that window, like after he, spoiler alert, after he misses a shot in the beginning there when he shoots across, after that, I don't know if you noticed, but the camera then goes to handheld, and so it's all shaky. And before that, it was all on steady or it was on sticks.
Yeah.
So he was calm and collected. But as soon as things went wrong, he was shaky and his world was falling apart. So
and also, I would like to point out the fight scene.
Yes.
The fight scene at the with the guy with the dog.
Yep.
That fight scene was just like next level.
Yeah,
That's
it was.
Like, it was like Daredevil corridor scene.
Yeah.
Even more like. It felt more impactful than that because every hit that was happening looked real.
It did.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the behind the scenes again. He was saying that like the sound design for that section was so important. He was like, I need you to make sure that all the thuds are like super hard, super heavy. And like they were putting pads under floorboards, like loose floorboards that were obviously, stage floorboards. They weren't real ones, but they were putting pads so that when the guy was slamming Fassbender's stunt double or Fassbender, however you look at it, it was really smashing him into the floor. And, like that was the impact that he said he was going for. So,
when I done my review on it, I'm like, that fight scene was not a fight scene. That was just a fight.
Yeah, it was carnage. Straight up carnage.
That was just like, those two guys were legit fighting.
Yeah. I like the dog too. The dog was cool.
Yeah.
To go in there as well.
And the pacing of the movie was good as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and
totally.
I didn't know Tilda. Like, I went into the movie not knowing who's in it.
Yeah.
Besides Fassbender.
Yeah.
So finding out Tilda was in it, that was cool. I love Tilda.
I like it. Yeah, Tilda's great. Yeah. I loved how, again, spoiler alert, we've already mentioned it a couple of times, but how at the end with Tilda, how like his mantra is, what is it? Don't deviate. Yeah. He kept saying that. So like in the end, it proved that his mantra was true, and to not, let his guard down because Tilda had the knife in her hand and she was going to kill him. So like it was good that, because at the same time you were thinking as a character, you're like, wait, maybe he should just pump the brakes a little bit, and maybe he should adapt to do something different. But at the same time, like everything he's done it for a reason, and that was one of the main reasons is that people are going to backstab you, in that game. That's just how it works.
Yeah, I love how cold he was.
Yeah.
Like, during the whole movie.
Yeah, he was super cold, wasn't he? Yeah. It was great. Yeah.
That's why you bring up the director, and I'm like, just watched it recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon either, actually.
I haven't seen it.
I heard that's all right.
Yeah.
I had friends that watched it. They said it was a bit slow.
Yeah, a lot of people said it was slow.
Those movies are that Oppenheimer, that they're slow movies.
That's what I'm saying. But the reviews tell me otherwise. So I was like, I probably should watch it.
Yeah, myself. I love Scorsese as well. I mean, he's one of the best directors of all time. One of my favorite movies from Scorsese is Shutter Island. That's one of.
I just watched that recently.
Yeah,
that one's amazing.
Like this is the little matchstick, like from Shutter Island. Like it's just. Yeah, again, it's the same. You can clearly see what kind of movies that I'm into is that kind of realm of
twists,
like
crazy thinking. What's going on here?
Yeah,
it's like Memento, but for movies.
Yeah. No, basically, it
slowly reveals another thing, and then you start thinking they're the best movies.
Yeah, they are. But
expect the unexpected.
What was that film that you guys watched recently? I've only watched parts of it where it was like about the end of the world or something.
Leave the World Behind.
Yeah, did you see that?
I haven't seen it yet. It's on Netflix,
show,
right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
I need to rewatch it because I was busy.
You guys need to watch that movie before.
It's a film.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys need to watch that before we can talk about it. But it's the type of movie that makes you.
I'll watch it tomorrow.
The timing of these movies, like this one, and there's one called Civil War that's coming out.
I did see the poster for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what are they trying to like?
Yeah.
You watch the movie and you're like,
what are they trying?
Should I build a bunker?
Right. Yeah. No, totally.
Should I build a bunker and buy all the tissue paper?
Yeah.
It's like that's basically what it is. It's like I know they're not probably trying to fearmonger, but it's like you look who directed and helped direct the movie. It's like. Ex-presidents help.
Yeah, and I did see that screen grab of all the Teslas lined up on the highway, and I'm like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
this is a message. So.
The funniest thing after that movie came out, like it's not really a spoiler, but something happens with the Teslas in that movie.
Yeah,
and like 2 days later, like 1 million Teslas get what's called recalled.
Yeah, the autopilot.
Like literally.
Yeah.
A day after this movie came out, I'm like, that can't be a coincidence. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And also, there's a part where in the movie something happens with a ship.
Okay.
And in real life, a week later, I don't know if it was promotion, but one of the ships was drifting to shore, like something that's happening in the movie. I'm like, this is this can't be real. Like this can't be real life. This is not. Like, there has to be promotion.
Yeah.
But then that ship crashed, so I don't think it's promotion.
It's like The Simpsons in the 90s, how they're predicting everything.
They literally still did.
Yeah.
Like, over the years, they always predicted something.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
Simpsons was crazy.
We dived down that rabbit hole.
The Simpsons
so
not
much.
predicting, man. The Simpsons doing. They're doing
They
it.
are. It's the Illuminati for sure.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
They've called too many.
Yeah, it's scary.
Too much at this point.
It is scary.
But that's like all TV. Like, I know The Simpsons, there was like the whole, because there's so many episodes, so many overlaps, so many situations that they put in, they're bound to call many things. That's their reasoning for it. But if you look at old movies and all that sort of stuff, even the movie Metropolis, if you watched it,
yeah, of course,
that calls out like a lot of things
Does.
like that happens now, and that's like from what is it? What year was that? 50s?
Was it 50s? I think it might have been, or even 40s.
Or even it's so old.
Yeah,
and that's like all these movies you pick apart like small things from it. You find it in this day and age.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
It's just how heavy your tinfoil is. It's like,
yeah. Again, back to the Matrix thing too, like where it's like simulation, all that. It's just
like all this thing, like AI is like popping up now, and people are like, "Oh, have you watched the movie AI?" Like the
Steven Spielberg one.
Steven Spielberg. Yeah. It's like, did you guys know there was a movie called AI back then? I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence didn't just come this year.
I know.
I'm just like, where are you? It's like Gen Z's like just found out about AI.
Yeah.
But the thing is, speaking of AI, what has it done anything to you in your industry? Like anything affecting you?
I mean, not personally myself, because I'm not part of the WGA as of yet. So all of the writers, I know it was a huge thing for their contracts this year. So I'm not sure what the end result was for that, but
I think they put some good rules in place.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like not the union stuff.
Yep.
Like for you, do you ever worry that your job can be done easier, or like I worry about myself.
Yeah, of course.
I've gone past worry. Like I did worry, but now it's like I'm on the acceptance phase.
Yeah,
because it's already out of the box.
Yeah,
it's already there.
I mean, I've definitely seen some videos and some scripts that have been written by AI or directed by AI and created. And again, at the point now, I still feel like it's the 60% of the way. Like you still need to have someone polish it and really like, because I mean, it still looks ridiculous. Some of the footage I've seen, it's the face morphing weird stuff.
It's
like
all,
it doesn't.
It's all the niche stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's like the candy right now.
Yeah,
but when they get to the gourmet food, like later on,
totally.
That's when it's gonna be scary because I'm pretty sure they have the tech that does that now.
Totally.
It's just what you're seeing now is what the average user can do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's. I mean, if you write something into Chat GPT or whatever, and you'll see something pop up, and you're like, "How is that possible?" That machine learning is. I mean, everyone talks about this. It's scary, but I just don't think it's at the point yet where I don't feel threatened in my role just yet.
Yeah.
Enough where. Like I would consider another career. It's scary, but at the same time, it doesn't deter me. Like I'm not going to not try and be a better writer or director.
I wouldn't care if it gets like super good, whatever. Yeah. But I do the only thing I but take into consideration and make me think is why would a studio use us if they can just type it themselves in-house?
Yeah.
Like, at the same quality.
Yeah, of course.
It's like there would be no reason to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like studios write your name on the credits like when you make a poster or when you do the film.
Yeah.
Sure, you might be in the credits if they roll credits, but if you're in a commercial, if you do a commercial for a company, your name's not there.
No.
It's like, so if they do something in-house with AI or some shit, it's like they have no morals or something to be upset about. Yeah. Because your name's not even on it in the first place.
That's true. Yeah.
And I've been talking to people already. It's like some people, like some studios, like little studios, are already using in-house AI.
Wow.
So they'll hire someone that's proficient in, knows what they're doing in AI, like good at prompts and good at directing the prompts the right ways.
Yeah.
And they have that person generating thumbnails, articles, posters, news clips,
Wow.
internet graphics.
Yeah.
It's one person, because it's not, you're not spending hours.
Yeah, of course.
It's one person prompting, and I'm not dissing him at all, but it's like it's one person prompting. It's like you paid that person for 8-hour shift doing a 40-band job.
Yeah.
So
no, literally,
it's saving money.
I get it.
It creates like a really large separation between I forget, people at different skills and different professions, I guess. So
Yeah.
I feel like there's always going to be a need for those really like amazing people that would like what you guys do. I think closing that gap will be quite a while.
That's the way I would like to think. But I know for a fact, and he would know for a fact, that a company or a studio would sacrifice quality if it means a chunk is gone.
Of course.
Yeah. A chunk of money is gone, and you still get visual results that still garners, oh, that's awesome, or that's pretty good, or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll go with that option. Yeah.
But are we talking about high-level companies as well? Like Marvel, for example. Same?
Right now, that's why the union thing happened.
Yeah.
So Marvel, if this was above board and like no one's complaining about AI, I do not see any reason why any company wouldn't have an in-house AI artist. If there was no backlash.
Yeah.
Like, if you're thinking about money-wise, if you're thinking about running a company-wise, I don't see why they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, to save money.
You know what else is funny too, is I thought about the other day. I'm like, even the executives, so the people who are making these decisions to be able to do these things to save that money, and then, ultimately creatives are suffering. What about, I mean, they've talked about it a bit in the media, but what about the executives' positions? Like, if you can have someone do absorb 5 roles in an executive branch, then
That's actually happened.
Yeah.
There's a company that replaced their CEO with an AI.
There you
bot.
go. Yeah.
And this AI bot makes executive decisions based on statistics
Yeah.
and numbers.
Yep.
And like, overall, it analyzes everything that's happened in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's got a smarter outlook.
There you go.
So you got something that looks on numbers and bases
supposedly.
on facts.
Yeah. Objective, right?
Yeah.
Objective, so to speak.
So no one, like, that's why I keep saying 5 years from now, like, this all evolved, like, this speed. Sure, behind in the background, it's probably evolved much faster, but in the speed of like a year and a half, AI has gone from just like, you can tell it's AI, to what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
It's
like huge too, like so quick.
It's like, I can't tell. Like, I saw a whole clip, 30-second clip of Barbie. There was a clip of
Barbie was
Margot and Ryan Gosling, they were talking. And that scene was converted into them being Barbie and Ken, actual 3D like they're actually animated.
Yeah. Wow.
They look 3D, and I'm like, I had to double take and say, is this AI? And it's like, yeah, someone told me it's AI. And it's like, it looks amazing, and they look like Barbie and Ken, like from like a good, highly animated one. They even got the seams in the plastics where they bend their arms. I'm like, this was generated like this. It's like, in a year's time, you can regenerate a whole movie. Like, imagine The Matrix, right? Your favorite movie, but you want it to end differently. Yeah. You're going to be able, like, soon enough to change the ending. Yeah. And it will be able to do it. Yeah. And that's what people are going to try doing.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to say, though, in terms of it's going to create, like, AI is going to be a tool more than anything. Like, people are going to grow with it. There's going to be those... I feel like there's always going to be somebody who will... I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Someone said it best to me.
I think it'll be more than a tool.
AI will be... Like, it'll get to the point where it's a calculator to someone that uses maths a lot but doesn't know maths. Yeah. So in other words, you're going to be just the person inputting. You're not going to know anything. You're just going to put the inputs in, and it's going to give you the outcomes.
That's going to be your brain.
Yeah. Basically. And if we're going to keep, like, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but we're going to rely heavy on AI, and we already do it now, like with Google. When we don't know an answer, of course. Even when we know the answer, we Google it just to make sure, or just to prove right. Check, even when we're 100%. Yeah. So basically, that's what AI is going to be. It's like, we're going to use AI to answer anything for us, do anything for us, and we're going to become to the point where, like someone said it, we're going to have those Tesla robots at our house, cleaning our house and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So in 10 years, 15 years time, when AI is like prominent, if everything goes down electrical wise and stuff, are we going to be able to maintain or focus or, answer questions? It's like, is reading a book going to be a thing?
Yeah. Even at the most basic thing, like as an example, when I got home last week, I was driving around Newcastle and I didn't need my phone because I grew up there and I knew my way around. Yeah. Whereas everywhere else in LA, like even though I'm sort of, I've been there 7 or 8 years, like you'll still put in the stuff in the maps and you're just looking at it, assuming that that's the right place to go. But at home, you're just like, I grew up here and I know my way around. So it's the same thing. Like if you read a book on so-and-so, then you know how to do that. If not, you're putting in prompts to figure it out. Yeah. So
like I look at my nieces or even my mum, like if they go to a place they've been before, it's just a bit further out. They always put the navigator.
Yeah.
They will always need a navigator.
Yeah.
It's like you can't drive without a navigator.
Yeah.
You need that constant hearing. And that's what... Like we're relying on small things here and there, but it's getting us relying on things is getting more and more, especially with the new tech that pen that's coming out. Have you seen it? The
pen you said?
The pin.
Pin.
It's like a AI pin that's coming out from one of the creators of the iPhone. There's like a I forgot what it's called, but it's a pin that you wear, and basically it has a camera on it, and it visually sees everything. So if you don't understand something or if you need to know a price or something, and it's like the whole concept of it was like ask it questions.
Wow.
Tell me, should I buy this? Or, conversations with it. And that's what people are going to rely on, like a constant Siri on your chest.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and that's...
too much now.
It's really scary to think about where the world's going to go. Like the way it is now with like people relying on that.
Yeah.
In the future, I feel like we are going to be like the robots in the sense that like our function, like we can't work without.
Everything nowadays already is technology.
We can't function without tech, and that's right now we can't function without tech. Like if tech all goes down now, we're kind of majority of us are screwed. Yeah. Like even job wise, I mean, we have enough from our past to remember how to live.
Yep.
But the people that were born like 15, 20 years ago, 18 years ago that like were born in the iPad and iPhone generation and stuff, you get rid of that shit for them. They didn't even ride bikes or, go outside.
That's the thing,
what do they do? I mean, they're depressed when just like they have to put their phone. Like my sister sometimes takes the phones off her daughters when they're like, being naughty or something. And they just go into a comatose state. Yeah. Like they stand in the corner or sit on the chairs like, what else am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
they're unplugged.
I feel like human, I guess, their mental state these days seem very fragile because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really scary to think about.
Social media has done damage to a lot of kids as well.
Back in primary and all that, no one had like the phones and all that, and if someone did have a phone, it was like an extravagant thing. Now it's like everyone has. If you don't have a phone, you're not cool.
Down upon,
You're literally not the cool kid.
Everyone has a phone. Like,
you're a weirdo. Speaking
of kids, do you worry about like kids these days, like bring them into this world? Or?
I mean, definitely. I know I was mentioning before that my wife and I plan to have kids quite relatively soon, and living in Los Angeles is it's quite like I was saying, fight or flight. Like it's, I'm trying to work out where we'd live, whether it would be in the city, whether it would be out of the city, whether it would be back here. It's definitely something that like, I feel like even though a lot of these things might seem negative to people in terms of, the social media and all that kind of stuff and the devices, I feel like if we can try and instill those things that we had as children in them, as well as sort of keeping the technology and stuff, brought into that learning experience as well, like just giving them a good base. Because I think that's the thing is like if you can instill good work ethic, love in your household, and all of those basic things that our parents had as kids, every circumstance is different, obviously, but it's definitely going to be a challenge to be a parent, but it's something that I'm looking forward to doing. Like I think everyone would agree that being a parent will be the most important role they'd have in their life besides their job or their their family.
It's
you know,
big
like
thing.
it's a huge thing. You know, it's literally something that you've made. It's you know,
it changes you as a person. As
well. Totally.
It changes your life. You obviously have someone else to protect now, other than your wife, obviously. Yeah,
and at the end of the day, like again, I feel like your friends and your family and those that mean the most to you are the most important things. So. Yeah,
of course.
I'm probably excited to have kids more than scared to have kids, you know, because then it just provides a whole nother challenge, because life's always going to be challenging. It doesn't matter what you do, you know. Yeah. And you look at people who bring kids into the world who have nothing. Like they're struggling to pay their bills and all that kind of stuff and feed their children, but they're still, you know, somehow make ends meet and somehow instill values in their kids. Of course. You know.
And they're happy as well.
Yeah, and they're happy. And even if they don't, you know, the children, you know, eventually learn. And, you know, I feel like every one of us has to have some kind of trauma in our lives to be able to grow as humans. Yeah. Like, you know, what doesn't have to be major, it doesn't have to be minor. It could be any form of trauma. But I feel like we all need to go through some crap to be able to understand what's important in life, you know? Yeah. So I think, yeah, exactly. Like there has to be friction. That's why, like, you know, the taking the phones away from the kids is that they need to be able to have that moment to be able to understand that, you know, there's more out there than a screen, you know, and it's just, it all comes back to that word of balance. I guess it's just balance, you know, so.
That's, as you said, that also falls upon the parents. Like if you teach them good morals and stuff from a young age, you'll be fine. But it's like, can that happen in LA?
Yeah, I know.
Live in Melbourne, bro.
I know. Believe me, my wife, she loves Melbourne. She would love to move here. And yeah, we would love to spend time equally both in LA and here, you know. But also that comes at a financial obligation that a lot of people, you know, can't afford to do. And if you can, it's would be the most amazing thing. But yeah. Hopefully it's something on the horizon that we get to do.
I think you should switch roles, as in a sense, like, you know how you come to Australia or Melbourne for holidays?
Yeah.
You should probably go to LA for holidays.
Right, I get you. Yeah, like more frequent.
As you said, like the healthcare system, the education system, growing up here, all that whatnot, and you know it, your missus likes the place.
Yeah.
It's like, you got everything, you got family here.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like a win-win.
I think the one thing that's exciting too is the amount of studio work that's getting done here too. Like all of the movies that are getting made. Like we know Aussie crews are so hard working, and like I honestly want to tell more Australian stories too, because like I feel like that's a really important part of filmmaking that like isn't seen overseas as much as what it should be, as a lot of Aussie stories. Like I know one of the first big ones was Chopper. Like everyone saw Chopper, and that's how, you know, Eric Bana got his start in the US because of that, you know, and like Romper Stomper and all those sorts of stories as well. There's definitely a lot more stories that are out there to tell, and I feel like
there's also A24. They released Talk.
Oh yeah, and Talk. Talk to me. So like,
very good movie.
Yeah. So like again, there's so many talented people in Australia and New Zealand and like the Asia area, Australasia. So
I think people don't understand that Australia like has a lot of heavy hitters, and they have good storytellers. Yeah. And we have the quality to produce quality.
Yeah.
As I said, A24's what's it called? Talk to Me. It's just like, sure, it's Aussie, but you don't. You're proud of it that it's Aussie. Yeah. But you're not sitting there and it's like, it's an Aussie flick. Yeah. It's just a film.
Yeah, exactly.
Film.
Yeah. You forget that it's even Aussie when you're watching it. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I think the key in that too is like the distribution. Like there's less, like now it's a lot easier to get films out across the world because of, you know, people being able to finance movies regardless of where they are, but especially here because the tax incentives, you know, like people are going to make the movies here because it's cheaper, but also like you can get people on board, like for Talk to Me, how they did, and they pick it up and they run with it, and look how big it is now. Like that's why A24 and all the stuff that they've released is it's so great, because their quality of films, they really can hand pick, whereas other studios and streaming platforms
they have like a whole bunch of stuff on their table. Like pick and choose.
Like I'll watch stuff streaming sometimes, and I'll just be sitting there and I'll think to myself, like, how did someone greenlight this and make this and go, yep, that's good, we're going to put that out? Like, and you think to yourself, like, all the other like struggling writers and directors, and you know, they don't even they just get their thing thrown to the side. It's just...
Speaking of that, I watched a movie called, it was last year or 2 years ago, called Open House. It was on Netflix.
Okay.
I do not know how do you get it greenlit?
There's a lot of movies
I'm gonna. It's so bad that I'm actually gonna spoil the ending for you. Right. So this movie is Open House. Serial killer happens. Something happened in the movie. You have to guess who the killer is. By the end of the movie, you find out who the killer is. You don't know who it is. He wasn't in the movie. He was on a character. He was just a dude. It's like, what was I guessing?
Really?
The whole time, what was I guessing?
It'll probably be someone that was featured for 2 seconds.
He was not featured. I even went on the, what's it called? The IMDb to read the comments section and stuff. Apparently, the people that created it or something, it's their first time filmmaking. They're not filmmakers. I don't know what happened. I'm like, I watched the whole movie trying to guess something, and the person is not even a guessing person.
They just didn't exist in the film?
So they talked about, did they talk? How did they reveal it?
They just showed it at the end. It's
that was it?
By the end of the movie, it's
wow. Okay.
After I watched it with my brother, I'm like, what happened? It's how do I even review this? That's the movies that I'm like, who watched this?
Yeah.
And said, have money, create this. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that people who are really creative and stuff don't get the opportunities like that sometimes to be able to put something that out.
You just got to keep working. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Don't let it demotivate.
That's Jake. True. Jake should get all the fundings for the projects he has coming. Speaking of projects you have coming, you got a bunch of stuff in the work, don't you?
Yeah, I got a few things. I made a sci-fi television show a couple of years ago that I've shared with you, and you've actually done some posters for me, which are incredible. That one's called Primitive, and it's an anthology-based series that I've done with a bunch of other producers. I also made that with Chris as well. That was our sort of first dip into television, I guess. So we completely shot the pilot and developed a series for that. That's been shopped around and at a different bunch of places. When we actually had developed that and sent it out, it was right when Altered Carbon had come out, so it was a bad time. It was it's the same thing, but it's not, and it's it was really good. We had some great actors. We had Billy Burke from Twilight, the dad in Twilight. He was also in Maid, another series that I think was on Netflix as well. So we had him in it. We had a bunch of other great actors in it as well. We had Robert Lasado. We also had forgive me. Forgetting his name. His name's Andy. He played the Wishmaster. So that was another big horror movie in the 90s. So we had some great talent in that. So hopefully that does at some point get picked up. Fingers crossed by...
Well, you got a good chance now. Altered Carbon died, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Which is, it's I don't know. Because a lot of the feedback was it's very much like Altered Carbon, but it's a little bit more, there's a little bit more depth here, and we might need to add characters here. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But, it just wasn't right for the time. It's not a no, it's just a not a right now thing. So we'll see with that.
Well, I think you got better luck now, especially with the AI booming the industry. It's if you rebrand it or just kind of not even rebrand it, just have the keywords AI somewhere in there for some reason. Just have an AI aspect in there, and it will fit the relevancy of the times.
Yeah,
studios, you got to understand. Studios see that shit. It's did you say AI? I hear that in the news all the time. Yeah, let's do this movie.
I know. Yeah, so that was a really it was my good sort of first step after music video stuff to executive produce that pilot, which was great. Since then, I've written 3 features, all independently made by us, and we're going to hopefully have producers come on board and make it. We have a horror film called The Craftsman, and it's all about, without spoiling it, but kind of spoiling it, it's about this guy who's a painter who's out in the woods, old disheveled fella with a bunch of cabins on his property. He rents them out to people, has a bunch of kids come to the cabin, and they rent it for a weekend, and stuff happens, but every time you see him, he's painting on a canvas. So then at the end, when you see the canvases, it's actually him painting each person he's killing. So it's sort of a little,
really cool.
Yeah. So it's we'll put you on Michael Myers in there. So
there was a theory that Bob Ross was a serial killer.
There you go.
And he paints all his locations. That's That's all he's pictured.
Yeah. I actually, when we wrote that movie, I had another idea, which we went this different route, but I had an idea that there was a cabin in the woods, very much like that, where this guy was snowed in, the same character, and he was painting the whole time, and he would have people knock on his door every day, and it was like 7 days. And each day they'd knock on his door and they'd come in and get shelter, and he'd sit there and he'd paint them and talk to them over a course of time. And then he'd wake up the next day and they were gone, and he would be kind of like freaked out about it. And the storm just progressively kept getting worse and worse and worse, and windows were starting to smash and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually he went out the back and looked, and snow just stopped. It just stopped. There was no snow. So it like went down and then boom. And so he was like, what's going on? And things started to unravel. And then he ran, and it was kind of like the Truman Show, where a door was there and he went out, and it was actually a warehouse facility that the government were watching him. He was a serial killer. So they put him in this environment to see what he would do and how his methods were of killing people, to either use him as an agent or just, learn more about him. And so each one of those people that he was painting were people he'd killed. So he was having a psychotic break, and that was his sort of thing.
I would love to watch these.
Sounds like an amazing movie.
They both sound really good.
Yeah, so
he's spoiled the whole crap out of
it. Yeah, but hey, it's
hopefully get around to making something like
that. I still want to watch it.
Yeah, I still want to watch it. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so if we get to make that, it'd be great. I've written another movie with my buddy Josh, actually, who I should mention, Josh Soon. He's a great co-writer. He's one of my good friends. He and I both wrote another movie called Skyjacked, which is a fictional retelling or fictional story based on the DB Cooper hijacking back in the 70s. So the guy who hijacked a plane and got $200,000 from the government and jumped out the back in a parachute, and he was never found again. So we wrote a fictional version of that, which is kind of a multiple perspective Ocean's 11 telling of each character of that day on the plane and what happened. And it's told around sort of the notebooky sort of present day of the FBI agent on his deathbed and the flight attendant who was on there coming to see him on his deathbed. And we constantly flash back and forth and of how the story's been told. And then towards the end of the film, when you're on your deathbed, there's the theme of the unraveling. That's kind of what I guess our writing styles are. But yeah, you sort of get an idea. I won't say if you do find out who DB Cooper is, but you do find out a little bit of closure with what happened. So that's our own sort of take on that. And then myself and Josh have also written another movie called Dragonhead, which is a movie about the triads in Manchester, England in the early 90s and then through to present day. It's another story about that sort of stuff. And we've written that with a guy called Johnny Mesner, who is been quite a big actor for a few years. We've done that with Bruce Willis's production company, which is, it's very unfortunate with Bruce because he's he's in such a terrible shape. Hats off to him and his family because dementia and all that kind of stuff is just a bad thing to go through. Yeah. So we've been developing that for the last sort of 18 months. And Bruce is very good friends with Johnny, and then his other partner is heavily involved in that as well. So they're the three sort of main feature film stuff that we've got going on, that we've written. And then over the past 2 to 3 years, I've written and directed a short film called Here in the Shadows, and it's all about mental health and PTSD and anxiety that is sort of prevalent with a lot of males that I've encountered in the arts and entertainment industry. So it's again another thriller that's centered around a man that's on the run, and he's on the run across America after it supposedly looks like he's committed some kind of criminal act. You're not really sure what he's done, but you find him on the run, burning out his car. He's in a diner. The police come in. There's all this intense stuff that happens, and then he eventually goes out to the desert, and there's another guy that's chasing him at the same time, and it's another whole unraveling at the end that sort of helps tell the full picture. But yeah, there's some good stuff happening. Having a lot of fun with it, and trying to create as much stuff as I can, regardless of whether people let me or they don't. I'm still going to do it. So
that's what
just do it for myself.
And you got to release your stuff too.
I know.
That last one you said you haven't released it yet.
I know. That's true.
It is short.
Yeah. So that's going to come out at the top of next year. So So I'm
excited.
We're working on that. Yeah. It's all in post, and it's almost done. Every time I say it's almost done, there's notes that I've got to communicate, or vice versa. So
did you kind of come around to making that short because of is it the personal experiences you had with other people that made you really want to make that?
Yeah, I mean, when people write stuff, a lot of the stuff is experiences that you've obviously either saw or felt yourself. I definitely wrote that short based on personal experiences, as well as a lot of my friends that I had experienced that had experienced similar things to me. So there's a lot of themes in there that I've experienced that I felt it was almost like an exercising sort of therapy session with myself and my friends where we wrote a lot of this stuff. So yeah, we've used it as kind of a creative outlet to help us, go through a bunch of things as well. So because I tried therapy for myself and it didn't work. So I feel like artistically, if I can try and help work my way through that through a short film or even just writing in general, I think it helps. Yeah. And if it can help other people, that's the big thing too.
I think as a creator, that's basically our therapy. I don't know if you're on the same boat as me, but talking doesn't help.
No.
Talking to someone doesn't help me.
No. Because you got to deal with your own thoughts after the talking.
Yeah. Did I say something wrong, or did I say something too much?
Yeah.
It's always then you start overthinking what you're supposed to be thinking about. It's like,
should I be talking about this?
Like I'm not dissing communication with actual therapy. Sometimes that works for people.
Yeah.
But I put all my thoughts and emotion in my writing or in my art.
Yeah.
And as you said, it makes other people happy and it fixes other people.
Yeah.
That kind of fixes me.
Yeah, it does.
When I see someone happy from something I made, it's like, okay, then they're going through the same thing and it made them happy, then I should be happy.
Yeah, so, exactly.
It kind of fixes it.
Yeah, it's all about evoking that emotion that I was talking about before. I want someone to be able to leave. Even with the short, I'm planning on doing a screening for it in LA with my friends and family that I have there. And I just want someone to be able to at least go home that night and feel like that they've experienced something that can either help them or teach them or, maybe allow them to uncover something more about themselves or even just speak up, or, because that's kind of my focus with it, is just to help. I mean, it does help me, but that's not the reason I'm doing it. I'm doing it to sort of help other people by osmosis, by watching it, they can feel a certain way that maybe if they speak up or maybe if they change something or express themselves, then it will help them.
Yeah. So it gives it a meaning of importance, but it's it's important to you first.
It is, for sure.
If it's important to you and we can resonate with people that literally feeling the same way as us, it's kind of, we all mend together at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where I take my work. That's why I like doing my personal pieces, even though my personal pieces don't do anything on socials. I don't really care about reach for them. I don't really care about comments or likes or something.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll get 5 comments on them, but those 5 comments are legit comments. As in I felt this in a way, as in, they lost their mother and this is helping them out with that.
Yeah.
That one comment is worth anything for it.
Yeah,
because
totally.
This is how I felt making it. I lost something. I've made this for it.
Yeah.
And as you said, you help one person. That's that's a whole person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the guy who's the lead in this short, Sam Webb, he was on Neighbours back when he used to live in Australia, and he was just recently on the Australian Survivor in Samoa. He and I have created a mental health charity in the US called Rock Bottom. And so it's a mental health charity aimed at people in the arts and motion picture industry, as well as athletes as well, and sort of in the creative space, because we feel like there hasn't been that. There's always been there's been sort of general mental health companies, foundations, non-profits, but there hasn't been people that can focus on things like we know as artists that, can understand what needs to be done in order to help or prevent mental health, So we think that, we're still in the early stages of building it out, but we definitely want to incorporate filmmaking, creating, and actioning artistic initiatives to be able to help with mental health and help, whether it be, hey, we've got a short film, guys. Does everyone want to be an actor? Do you want to be a director? Do you want to be an editor? You're going through stuff. We can all band together and make something, because at the end of the day, people might feel like they don't have anything, but if they can make something, then that's what's important.
That's good. You got the collaboration aspect down. That's like a lot of things with the creative community and the artist community is the loneliness.
Yep.
Especially if you're working, like, say, for a studio that you're doing like 15-hour days and you got your deadlines in a week, and it's like you literally work, sleep. There's no time for enjoyment, family, or anything. And those people like fall into this cycle of depression. And the fact that you do this charity where people can communicate with people that actually know what the hell's going on, like you're in the same field, like that person knows what you've gone through.
Yeah,
you can talk, you can collaborate.
Yeah,
like it's actually an amazing thing, because with therapy, as we talked about before, you're literally talking to a psychiatrist. About your issues and stuff, and they're responding with what they know, what they've heard from other clients they've had, but it's rarely they've had the same experience than you, when the whole broken people help broken people. So that's the kind of thing we have with artists. That's why I resonate with a lot of artists, especially come up artists. Like I'll talk, like they'll send me DMs and I'll talk to them like for hours about life and about how I work and how they work and what they do in the industry. And it's always a refreshing take. No matter the skill gap, no matter the like where you are in life, you resonate at a level that you're at the same spot.
Of course. Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me too is that, like, people being able to create some kind of initiative where they're making something even when they're going through something. Like, that's the hardest thing, is when you're in a bad spot, a lot of people feel crippled, like we we're talking about at the beginning, where we can't make anything. But if you're with people, like you said, who have had shared experience and they go through something and they can make something, whatever that looks like, I think it's a good thing, because it feels like there's progression rather than just being stagnant or not being able to like get yourself out of a hole or whatever it is, So, and I think that, again, there hasn't been things that have been specifically engineered towards each person as much as, like, there's therapy, but again, personal experience. One time a therapist said to me, "Hey Jake, what's some issues?" And it might be finance, right? Say something to do with finance. And at the end of the call, they're like, "Oh, yep, we can't get to this. We'll talk to you the next week." And I'm like, well, next week it's going to cost me more money. So this whole point about finance and my issue with finances, that's the problem. And you're just telling me next week you want to talk to me. So, it's like this thing. It's like you're not fixing the issue. You're not helping. It does work for some people, but for some people like us as artists, it's difficult. It's a lot deeper than that in terms of things, we need to say or we can't feel like we can say. So,
and a lot of the times, like with therapy, like they mention it, like many people mention it, it's like they need help now. Yeah. But they book you on the 28th, which is like 2-3 weeks away.
It's too late.
It's like, in that period of time, 3 minutes is too long. Yeah. They need your help now. It's like, it's nothing good, not on the psychiatrist or not on the therapist or not on anything. It's just like, that's the importance of like being able to find a self-sufficient, closer avenue. And thankfully we have it in our work, but a lot of people don't have it.
Yeah, it's true, bro.
I feel like it's really beautiful to be able to express those emotions in your work, as a creator. I've been a tough year for everyone. Everyone's got their own experience. So for me, I've dived into that aspect of, I guess, getting that mental clarity in my work. Although I haven't put much of it out, I think 2024 is what I'm aiming for in terms of, creating the things that will help me. And I look forward to seeing that short film. I think it's going to be amazing. Yeah, sorry. And the charity as well. So fingers crossed. It's really beautiful.
I think that's 2024 is a big year, like for legit everyone. Like the things we have planned, things you have planned. I'll help you out. You help me out. Yep. It's like 2024. I think we should put on the map before 2025, because I think it's all AI.
Yeah. Get things done now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think we will wrap this
Wrap
up.
it up.
Yeah.
Jake.
Good sesh.
It's been awesome having you, Jake. Thank you so much.
Jake or Ryan?
Jake. I said Jake.
Jake. Yeah, I know.
Shout outs to Ryan. If you put this in, shout outs to Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
I was thinking about you way too much, bro. It's like,
no, leave it in. You have to leave it in.
Yeah, now you have to leave it in.
Thanks, boys. It's been great.
It's been good.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully you enjoy Katek, because Katek is like our grail here.
Yeah,
so
I'm keen.
Hopefully you like it. So.
I'll leave a review for sure.
Do you want to plug in your socials as well?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm not really on socials a lot, but I still have socials.
Where would they find your things when you release it?
At the moment, it'll be on Instagram, so it'll be Jake M Miosge on Instagram. That's my handle. Miosge is my last name. How you spell it? So that's where I put most of my stuff at the moment. And then I do have a Vimeo account for my studio as well, which is vimeo.com/Enigma Studios. So that's where I put a lot of my short films and stuff in their full form. So that's it.
Yeah, we'll put the links in the bios and
put them up on screen and all.
We'll link him. Thank you for coming
Easy
along.
boys. Thanks.
Next time you're here, probably John will be here. We gotta say hi to John.
Johnny Kim.
He left us for Canada. Out of all places, Canada.
We'll do.
I love Canada.
Well.
We'll get him in, Johnny boy.
Yeah, we miss you, John. We miss you guys, and we're back. And
love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace out.